And I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you for joining the podcast. I got two wonderful guests joining us, and they're from the great state of Colorado. And just like Oregon, Colorado is suffering from the plight of some leftist woes that are going on in their state, especially in their school districts. And I got two wonderful ladies here who are going to share their story of what's going on in Colorado. And it's a very important story because it relates directly, parallels completely with what's going on here in Oregon. And I've got Lori Gimelshteyn and Elizabeth Taylor from Colorado joining us. How are you two doing?
Great.
Great, Rob.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
I'm glad it's hard to, I know it's hard to get two people on at the same time. And so I appreciate you two taking out, you're out of your busy schedule, because I know that both of you are working on very intense projects. Anyone who's campaigning knows this. Lori, you're working with Colorado Parent Advocacy Network. I'm going to tell a story a little bit later about Lori and her campaign for her school district. But I want you to kind of start off by telling us where Colorado Parents Advocacy Group Network or Advocacy Network started and what you guys' goal are.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm Lori Gimelshteyn. I'm the executive director of the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network. Love to have your listeners join us. You can go to our website at coloradoparents.org and click on the Join Us tab to stay engaged and informed on really important things that are impacting a parent's ability to direct the upbringing, care, and education of their child. So back in 2020, like many parents across the nation, I became alarmed when my two children, who were then in 6th and 8th grade at the time when they had started going back to school the following school year after the initial shutdown, the 2020-2021 school year, two kind of quick alarm bells that happened was our daughter, Jenny, came home and shared that her friend Stella was now going to be River, and River was going to use he, his, him pronouns and use the boys' room. Now, remember, 5 years ago, transgender was not something that was widely known. I really wasn't even sure what she was talking about. I honestly just thought I must have missed the email on this. And I'm a speech pathologist. I've been in private practice for 2 decades. And oftentimes I am contracted to go into schools to work with classrooms that might have a student that might be on the autism spectrum. So having someone come in to give a workshop is not unusual. And so I just thought this was a workshop. And I made the comment that's really progressive of River's parents to ask the school to do a workshop. And my daughter replied, "Mommy, River goes home every day as a girl. His parents have no idea."
Wow.
And I was just floored. And I thought she must be mistaken. And a couple weeks later, our son came home and he was in 8th grade and he had an English language arts honors assignment. And it was titled, "Why is your favorite hobby racist? Why?" And to get full points, he had to write racist against people of color. And I was really just like absolutely floored by this. And I'm thinking in my mind, we have an activist teacher, if you remember going back into 2020, it was just a chaotic time. And I said to my son, you're going to get an F on this paper before you lie. And he said to me, you don't understand, Mom. I have to think one way at home and another way at school. And so I did what you should do. I went to the teacher, I went to the principal, and then I realized I had a big problem at my children's middle school. And it wasn't just one teacher that was an activist, it was the leadership that was demanding teachers to be in this be in this role. And so I decided I'm going to go to the school board, the Board of Education, and I'm going to share my concern because clearly they'll stop this if they know this is happening. And I did that. And I went and I spoke to the school board. And the next thing you know, I'm on the front page of many newspapers, militia leader, anti this, anti that, crazed parent, all of these crazy things. And really all it did was it, pushed me further into advocacy, which is something I've done for decades with families that have children with significant special needs. And I just decided that we had to do something in our school district, and that something ultimately became our statewide organization. So we have 178 public schools in the state of Colorado, and we have at the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, we have an incident reporting tool where families can submit incidents and we can work together to help them. And we have built out our organization, originally starting in education for parent advocacy, but now expanding because parent advocacy is not just in the educational realm, and it's not just education that's been weaponized in the United States. In addition to education, we've got healthcare has been weaponized, the legislature's been weaponized, family court, child protective services. And so we are there to serve, to fill that gap where when a parent cannot raise their children because of government overreach in some area, CPAN is there to step in. And so Elizabeth Taylor, who has been a member of CPAN since the dawn of time, is what an incredible person. She decided she was going to run for school board, Rob, and in the state of Colorado, and I'm sure in Oregon, we've learned over the last 5 years that school boards are run by the behemoth, the teachers union. Millions and millions and millions of dollars in dues goes into funding candidates that align with the union's very harmful rhetoric on DEI, anti-capitalism, gender ideology, Marxism in the schools. And so many wonderful people like Elizabeth, they're saying, you know what, I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna run a campaign to serve my school district and the families in my school district and bring back academic excellence and school safety and all the things to help our children be able to grow up to be successful adults. And well, in Colorado, we've got some real problems with election integrity. And Elizabeth has just a story that is, it makes you angry, right? Because if you can't run a campaign without theft, without deceit, without manipulation, the people don't know what's happening. And so Elizabeth would be able to share what happened to her in her campaign.
Elizabeth, and thank you, Lori. There's a couple of things I want to get back to you on, but let's talk about Elizabeth and what she is doing, what she had went through, because I've done this myself. I've run and helped manage dozens upon dozens of campaigns in the 35 years. And one of the biggest things that we have problems with is the stealing of our stuff. And that's just something that happens. But you have a very interesting story. And the name of your school district, this was, I thought was really neat. Here's your website. And the name of your school district is Roaring Fork. You must live next to a really big raging river, huh?
Well, it's not really that big of a raging river, but it's a beautiful river, and it's a gold medal fishing river. And it's also fed into with other really great fishing rivers. The Frying Pan, I live in Basalt. So the Frying Pan River and the Roaring Fork River meet, and they're both beautiful rivers. And yeah, we've got a lot of fishing around here, that's for sure. Yep. It's gorgeous.
I fished in the Colorado mountains in the southern part of Colorado and Durango, fly fishing for years and years. We'd go up there, and this was the type of camping where you have to hike several miles to get to the stream you want to go to do the fishing that you want to do. And beautiful, beautiful place, Colorado. Oregon and Colorado have a lot of similarities with their natural beauties. I just don't understand why so many people go, well, insane a little bit with their politics in these beautiful states.
Right.
It's just,
It's weird. It's gorgeous here. I mean, that's why people move here. But then I don't really get it either. It's attracted a lot of very strange ideologies, and I wish I could explain it, but yeah. And
what drove you to get involved? Why did you get involved with the group? And then why did you do something as crazy as running for office?
I'll just say this. I have always been very interested in justice and right, just righteousness in a way. And when I feel like it's not being, if there's no justice, it really angers me or bothers me, and I want to do something about it. And I want to speak up about it, and I just can't, let it go. So 3 years ago, my son entered the Roaring Fork High School in Carbondale, Colorado. And I thought it was going to be like back, like coming down from Aspen, maybe it would be more of a down to earth type of school, And what I found was immediately that I was wrong, because the front desk, the registrar office desk, it was covered in rainbow flags and trans flags and unicorns. Anything that had to do with rainbows was at the front desk. So this is what you would see as a person from the community or parent. This is the first thing you would see when you walk into the high school. And I thought, what have I gotten myself into? And I just thought this was horrible. I've never seen anything so blatantly ideological, And I wanted to speak up about it. I was trying to be polite. I was trying to be, nice about it and couch it in nice terms. And they just weren't hearing it. And finally, I thought, well, maybe I could just get involved. I could go to school board meetings. I could just go to different kinds of committees, meetings. And found that, I could go to these meetings, but it didn't matter. I wasn't really being heard. I could try to speak at public comment sections at the school board meetings. I could go to work sessions where they talk amongst themselves, but you're really not allowed to speak up. I could go to committee meetings where you're supposedly going to be listened to as a big group, but really the only way they hear you is if you write your thoughts on a Post-it note and place it on a table with that topic. Okay, that's their way of hearing your input. Mm-hmm. And it was just one thing after another of non-listening that I just felt really just disenfranchised from the whole system. And I thought, well, I could sit here and complain all day, and I could fuss about it, or I could put my money where my mouth is and run for office. So when my district came up for like the seat was available to run, I thought it's time for me to just do it. It's not what, does this sound like a fun thing to do? No, that's not why I ran. I ran because I felt like I should run. And nobody else had been as upset about what was going on vocally as me. So I thought I'm the one to do it. I had a friend run for the other seat too. So we both it was nice to have somebody to run with. But ultimately the same outcome. It's very strange. We really worked our rears off for this campaign. We knocked on doors, we made phone calls, we did meet and greets, we did all kinds of stuff. And ultimately the outcome was not that different from 4 years ago when I know the opponent of the current and person in the seat now who won, the outcome was not that different, maybe 3 percentage points difference. So there's a big machine. It is a big machine, and that's what we're up against. And I'm just kind of sitting back now trying to reevaluate what's our next step. It's not going to be being silent, I can tell you that. And now and it's been so wonderful to work with Lori on this too. She's had my back. She's been a huge advocate for me and for the other person that I ran with, Jody Barr. Yeah.
Well, if you're the campaign is over with now?
Yes, that was November 4th. Yep.
Okay. All right. And gosh, I can't believe it's already November. That's my fault. I'm sorry. We didn't have much of an election here in Oregon, so I apologize. So you're over with the election, but what happened during the election that was so frustrating for you?
Well, during the election, well, there was some things that went on. The normal pace was you go out, you campaign, you meet people, you knock on doors, blah blah blah, and that's what we did. But there were also forums, like public forums. There were 3 of them. They were, they're excruciatingly hard, for me. But I'm not that good at public speaking or just having to be on the spot there. It felt like I was being on trial. However, it was good experience in terms of getting out of my comfort zone, learning how to speak extemporaneously, and also deal with the adversarial kind of, the other side was not kind, in how they would speak to us. So I had to get thicker skin, which was, it's always good. When it came to this, we had campaign signs. I guess that's what we're getting to here. The things that happened with the campaign signs were I had a good support system, and we bought a lot of signs. That's just what we did. We would put them up in lots of different places. We let people put them up in their yards. We had people put them up in other public places around the valley. But one place that was very well visible was near the Eagle County building in Elgibel. And there's a zone where you're allowed to put them. So, we would put several up, maybe 5 of each sign. Jody would put 5 up, I would put 5 up. And we would have a friend in the area who would drive by there every day. And he would say, it got kind of to be this normal thing where he'd call me up in the morning and say, they're all up, they're all gone, they're all gone. And then another friend who had a bunch in the back of his car said, I'd call him and tell him, and he'd go, I'm on it. And he would go put them all back up. And in the meantime, I was told that I should do this. I should go to the sheriff's office and just file a police report. Just file a report, just make a documentation of the fact that they were stolen.
Right.
So that happened twice. And then the third time, so we made 2 police reports. I did. Jody didn't do it, but I did. So I have documentation of the 2 batches that were stolen. Then the 3rd batch got put up, and I don't know what made me think to do it, but I guess I was trying to, I wonder if this is going to happen again. So I thought, let's look into putting a game camera up, or, what else can we do? But I couldn't put a game camera up because every place I could have put it up, it was on public property, like the CDOT or Eagle County. I just couldn't do it. I thought, well, hey, I've got a couple of air tags downstairs that are not being used. I wonder if I could just do that. They're pretty thin, I could probably get them in there. And the signs themselves are these like corrugated plastic. It was sort of just this, let's just try it. Slice the bottom of the corrugated plastic sign, shove them down in there, put some tape, like packing tape, to kind of cover up the spot.
Yep.
And once you put the stakes in, it kind of there's like a metal bar that sort of goes along the bottom of the sign. It just kind of holds them in naturally. Okay, did it. I just went over there, put 2 more signs up.
Good for you.
With the air tags in them. I'm like, well, I bet nothing's going to happen because they've already done enough stealing. Well, the very next day, I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is insane. I looked at my app, and sure enough, they were over at the staff parking lot of the local school,
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm like, this has got to be a joke. So I called my friend, the one who usually checks to, one of my friends, and I said, while you're heading this direction, would you just drive by there and see if all of our signs are gone? Because my app is saying that the air tags are now in the school staff parking lot. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, the signs were all gone, mine and Jody's. But of course, our opponents were still up,
Right.
Well, those tags sat in the parking lot all day during the school day. And then afterwards, we had a volunteer kind of track the person's car who left, and it ended up, they traveled all the way to a residence. And we have documentation of that because I took screenshots of it. So anyway, it's just what makes me so sad is this is completely normal in a way. Like this, they've been stolen. Yeah. Now they're just stolen again. They've been tracked, but to a residence of somebody who works at the school. And, it's just a sad commentary on how normalized this behavior is. And, you know, it's another example to me of my voice being silenced again. And, you know, crickets about it, really. You know, hey, just, oh, well, that's just the way it is. So I thought, you know, those signs are not expensive. Those air tags are not expensive either. But it's kind of like,
The principle.
it's the principle of it. And besides that, I was elected in April to be on the district accountability committee. Okay.
Oh,
Not
right.
only am I right, and my campaign was all about accountability and transparency of, you know, of the district, as well as, you know, my voice being heard and me being a representative for other parents and community members whose voices wanted to be heard. That's how I wanted to, what I wanted to be if I was able to be elected to the school board, as well as raising the proficiency scores, which are very low, you know, of
Right.
the students. So it's all just kind of ironic. You know, it's all about accountability. And here you know, if someone's stealing my signs, what am I going to do? Just say, oh, well, I'll just let it go. No, that doesn't feel right to me. So
Yeah.
I'm letting the process, you know, play out. We've let the sheriffs know the deal, and it's under investigation at this point. And it's almost wrapped up, actually.
Yeah, it shouldn't take long. And the thing is I think, aren't there federal election laws that have to do with this type of theft? Do you know, Lori? Do you know if that's
Be better about that. What is that?
Well, there's actually Colorado revised statute that punishes up to a year in prison and
Mhm.
$1,000 fine for
Yep.
interfering with an election. And, you know, quite honestly, we're just sick and tired of it all the time. And every municipal school board, you know, the off years, you know, the midterms, the general election. It just has to stop. And there's a reason why we have it on revised statute, right? There's a reason there is a law, because people must have faith in the election system. And, you know, we've had not only stolen signs and attempts to undermine candidates with manipulative flyers that are deceptive and push
Yeah.
polls that go out to the tune of $50,000. Why in the world should it cost more than $50 to run for a school board, right?
Right.
In 2023, we were endorsing two candidates that were running in the Cherry Creek School District, which is one of the nation's largest school districts. It's a destination district for families, and it has just gone completely underwater over the last 10 years. You know, they've got this antiquated reputation of the district of excellence, you know, but now more than half of the students are at grade level in reading, writing, or math. And that's true across the state of Colorado. It's nothing to be proud of. There should be nothing else being done except helping kids get to reading proficiency and math proficiency. And in this campaign, where we know in the school districts, we have radical agendas. They're telling children that, you know, if they feel uncomfortable in their body, that means they're transgender. They're telling children that white kids are oppressors and everyone else is oppressed, and they're eliminating grading and they're eliminating discipline and they're getting rid of merits like valedictorian. And so two of these guys who had kids that went through Cherry Creek, both professionals, one an attorney, one a financial planner, over $160,000
Oh, wow.
spent by the teachers union to undermine their campaign. And that's what it all comes down to. So it's simple as stealing a sign. What it does is like Elizabeth is saying, is it normalizes all this. So,
Yeah.
you know, I, as an individual, have trust when a poll shows up on my phone. But you can't have blind trust in these things because they're lying to you. Things like, if you knew one of the male candidates running for school board was charged with sexual assault, you'd be like, whoa, I don't want that guy on my school board. And that wasn't even true. You know, so
Oh,
these are the
wow.
things yeah. If you knew that one of the guys, because there was two guys against two women, if one of the guys running for school board, who's a financial planner, had a bankruptcy, would you want him in charge of your school finances? Never had a bankruptcy, right? So they're spending $50,000 on a push poll going to thousands of voters in the area, and they're misleading people. It's deceptive. And quite honestly, it should be illegal to do that. It's slander.
Yeah,
is.
well, actually, it is illegal. That is
Mhm.
completely illegal, and I think you have a huge chance of challenging that. It makes me mad what you just said, Elizabeth, that you didn't realize the machine in these school districts. It's something I've been dealing with a long time. And when you're in a small town, like I live in a town of 3,300 people,
Mhm.
the school district is larger than the town I live in. And so their employees, they're one of the largest employees here. They have the unions. They're threatening to go on strike now because they're not making enough money, even though nobody in hardly anyone can read who's graduating anymore. Oregon, we wish we were as good as Colorado. So when you ladies are complaining, we're like, oh, damn, you what a successful state you have there. You know, we've the people here who are in charge of our education in Oregon, they have figured out a way to get rid of low test states or low test scores. They just stop testing. And so that's what they've done here. Literally, there's no qualifications to even graduate in Oregon. I'm not even sure how an employer is supposed to take these documents seriously. But the unions, like you said, they're the ones who have millions of dollars at stake because their raises and their future are all dependent on these races and who gets in these races. And like you said, the cost of running these races, I think they spent $40,000-$50,000 for a little bitty small school district of 16,000 people in North Bend. And it's just absolutely ridiculous for a position that pays absolutely no money. And there's only 2 or 3 decisions that will really affect anything with the union. But that's what they're willing to die on. And it's sad that average citizens who are supposed to be in charge of the school, who are supposed to have the say over it because you have children in that school, we're losing our authority over this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't actually know. I wish I did know better, like what exactly the influence of our particular teachers union has on our schools. I know they must, and I know that they have a high number of teachers who are members of this, so they have a lot of pull. I do know one thing. I was told by one of the teachers, because we met with another meet and greet with some teachers there. And the teacher said to me that they received, like the people who were members of the union, teachers, received an email, and the only thing in the email was a video of Jody and I being prayed over by our pastor. That was the only content of the email. They were sending a message to their teachers without a word being spoken, but just the video of us being prayed over. And that says a lot. They had it out for us. They did not. They wanted to send a message that look what these people are interested in. They are, religious. I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but they wanted to give the idea that we are the kind of people who pray and go to church. And
that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Yeah, and I'm not religious. I'm not a believer, but I'm a big supporter. I was raised Catholic. My relatives are Catholic. Even though my grandmother believes I'm going to hell, it's okay. I still support her religion, and I support the rights of everyone to have their own beliefs, including the trans people. I just don't want them to bring it into school and indoctrinate my kids with it, And I'd have the same problem if Christians were if there were Christian groups trying to impose their religion, I'd have the same problem. But that's not the case. And in fact, they're saying that no religion is allowed, that we're not even supposed to know about these things. And that's stupid, because our whole society, our whole Western civilization is based on Christian Judeo values, and we should be proud of those values. And even as someone who's not I'll show you, I have a Jesus action figure. You know what I mean? That's how much I believe in the word of what Jesus spoke. I don't have to believe in the Christianity of the religion. I can still believe in the philosophy behind it and preach that philosophy. It's a good philosophy. But to try to denigrate someone because they're praying, could you imagine if that would have been Muslims?
Right.
Who are at their religious service praying, to Mecca? If that would have gotten out, these people would have been sued.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I don't really know if that was wrong. I mean, I don't know if that was against any rules to send a video out like that, but they were definitely watching us very closely because we had
Video come from the teachers union or the school?
nope, it came from the teachers union to all the teachers members of the union. So I'm not sure what the laws and the rules are around that, but that's what a teacher told me. And yeah, I'd like to just kind of hear more about that. Like, and the thing is too that they were fine with having all the ideological symbols for the trans ideology, up in the
Right.
front desk, at least for this high school. And I've heard it's like that at other schools in the district as well.
Right.
This last year, it has toned down quite a bit. I think that's because maybe the registrar is not the same registrar as was there before, but they were completely okay with it. And I did ask at one point, hey, I asked the principal at the time, I noticed that there's all these flags up at the front, these rainbows and everything. How would it be if a Christian teacher or staff member wanted to display their faith? Could they put, scriptures up all over the wall? Could they put crosses up? How about, a flag with Christian symbolism on there? And she goes, well, we might allow the teacher to put a little tiny cross on the wall, in their classroom.
Right.
So that was her response. And I just thought, man, I don't even know what to say to this. It's showing me a lot, just telling me a lot where we're at. And it's disappointing to say the least.
Lori, you're seeing this across the state. You're at a little bit higher level watching this because you're playing in different campaigns and you're watching this play out across the state. How is this atypical of what's happening in Colorado?
No, not at all. I think, anecdotally, a lot of people would say that there's a lot of deceptive practices happening in campaigns, signs getting stolen. But what's really great and clever is that Elizabeth put an air tag in her signs, and that just really opens the door for a proper investigation and following this to ground and really setting a precedent that it is not okay to steal. It is not okay to lie. It is not okay to manipulate and deceive the public, especially in something as important as a campaign, especially anywhere. You should never lie or deceive people or steal from people. I mean, it's just, where is the morality of our society when it's come to that? And we see this, as I said earlier, we see this with school boards, we see this with city councils, we see this at the state level for state Senate and the House and Congress. And so, we're just fed up. We're tired and there's no accountability. And that's where CPAN is really trying to step in, because what people want to do is they just want to raise their kids according to their morals and values. And we have so much overreach from the government and so much overreach from organizations like the teachers union that's really trying to just deceive the public, that we have to step in. That is what we can do, and that is what we are doing.
And thank goodness you are doing it, because like I said, everyone should be represented. And there are a lot, not just Christian kids. And I go back to something you said, the morality, we get our morality. And I go back to, you don't have to be a Christian, but our morality comes from Judeo-Christian values. And we should be pushing a more moral civilization. And it's almost like they rebuke that. And that's why they make fun of the Christians, because you're doing something that you believe is at a higher moral standard, and it's, I do a commercial, and some people think it's a joke and on my live show, and I call it the abstinence. Are you doing too much fentanyl? I've got the cure. It's called abstinence. Are you having too much wild sex out there and getting bad diseases? Well, I've got something to cure you. Abstinence. You know what I mean? And people go, well, it's just too simplistic. And it's not. It's really your personal choices based on your own morality. And we are taking that morality out of the schools and instilling this DEI garbage, this wokeness, which doesn't give them an objective moral compass in which they can look out at life at and decide this is right and this is wrong, because now they look at campaigns and they go, oh, well, that's just average that they get stolen. The signs get stolen. It's okay that they lie about you. That's okay. This is all acceptable now. And you said it at the beginning, Lori, about was it your son saying, Mom, I've got to act differently at school than I do at home. That's horrible what we're doing to kids. That when you said that, I cringed. I mean, it was like to think that a child at that age is already having to live a duopoly with his personality. And I can see it. I had to do, when you go to work, you have to set your ego aside. I've worked in retail. I've worked with customers. And you got to set your ego aside because you'll get that customer, he'll talk down to you, he'll talk crap to you, and it's your job to try to give him the best service and the best deal you can. That's just life, and you got to put your ego aside. And we're not doing that anymore. We're really installing a lot of egotistical, non-moral people into society now, and it's going to be a scary world. I don't know how we're going to find our leaders in the future.
I think it's going to take courage. It's going to take people to have the courage to speak up, because when we were out knocking on doors, I can't tell you the number of people that we spoke with who actually agreed with us, but they were too afraid they didn't even know that the person down the street agreed with them. They just don't talk. Nobody talks to each other, and they're too afraid. But it's going to have to be, people are just going to have some courage. That's all it's going to come to, because otherwise this is where we're going. We are going down that road like you're talking about. We're going down that road. But that's what I've come to the conclusion of. Jody and I had a little courage to stand up and run for school board. We didn't win, but it helped us know that we didn't die. You're not going to die. It's just, you just have to do it. You just have to put your neck out a little bit and meet other people who agree with you and strengthen numbers in that way. Any other way.
If you quit every time you lost, we wouldn't have gotten up this morning. That's something I tell people in politics. If you're too weak to take a loss, then don't get in. It's boxing is the same way. It's not how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit and get back up. And you learn more from getting hit and getting back up than you do delivering a good knockout punch. And you will learn more from this campaign and take that to the next whatever you're going to do, which I want to hear about. What do you think you're going to do now in the future? What is this, because one door closes, many others open.
I just think that, I'm going to stay on the district accountability committee. I have recruited a friend of mine who is also of the same thinking as me. He was actually the guy that ran against my opponent 4 years ago. So now we're both together on the DAC. I don't exactly know what I'm going to do, but all I can say is I've met some really wonderful people. I've connected, stronger connection here with Lori. I'm willing to join up forces with people who agree with me, and we'll see where it goes. But I can't be quiet. I can't. That's not my nature, to just sit and watch it happen.
Good for you. I don't want you to be quiet, and keep that networking up. The networking, I learned this years and years ago. That's where it takes you. I've got a list that I send out from my website that's probably about 25 years old. And I know when people open it up, and I can tell the same people have been opening it up 2.5 decades ago are still opening it up today. So keep that list, keep those people. Those people will be behind you later on, and they just may not have known about you until now. And that's the beautiful thing. And Lori knows this from, in her organization. You realize you don't know anybody, and then you get out there and you start knocking on the doors. And that's a really hard thing to do. People don't realize how hard it is. I think we did 1,000 houses last year in one of the last campaigns. And I don't know how many times I'd knock on the door and I'd tell them I'm representing this candidate, and I hate that party. And they would come out yelling at us, and it'd be like, well, okay, I kind of agree with you. I kind of hate some of the things they're doing. Let's talk about that. But then you actually find a lot of people that agree with you, and you can grow that network.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what I'm
hoping. So Lori, what's the future hold for you?
Well, the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network is extremely active in what we call our outside operations. So we know that we are in the minority in these elected official spots in both school boards, at the legislature, et cetera. So what can we do? Well, we can help. our school board directors that are there in the minority. We can help our legislators. And that looks like, showing up for school board meetings, helping them do research, doing petitions. We've actually, in the last 12 months, facilitated 5 lawsuits in the state of Colorado, one against Cherry Creek School District, one against Brighton School District, one that's helping a dad who lost medical custody of his son for simply saying wait because he did not want to start his child on hormone therapy and blockers. And we also are helping a school district, Elizabeth School District. We're fundraising for them. They're battling the ACLU for simply taking 19 books out of their school library that contain sexually explicit material. And this is such a great way to describe the deception, right? The book banning lie, right? Book bans mean books are illegal. You cannot find them anywhere. Removing sexually explicit content from a school library is not book banning. That is making a educated decision about the quality of literature we want our children in a school environment to have, right? So that's called removing content, not banning content. And so we're fundraising because they're going to go all the way. We're just thrilled. And I'm actually involved in litigation personally and on behalf of the organization for the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network in a lawsuit against the state of Colorado for a bill that passed this year and was signed into law in June, deceptively titled Legal Protections for Transgender Individuals, that violate my First and 14th Amendment rights. We are not allowed in the state of Colorado to use biological pronouns or birth names. It's against the law and punishable up to $5,000 each time, plus $50,000 in emotional damage, plus a year and 3 to 4 months in prison, plus re-education training. So we're busy. We're filing lawsuits. We're getting in the media. We're helping our school board directors. We're helping our legislators, and we're growing our lists. I think, Rob, you titled that perfectly. Elizabeth's campaign was not a loss. It was a huge win because now she has a list of people that are eager to really shape the future of Roaring Fork School District. And I pray that she'll run again in 2029.
Me too. That's the best thing you can do is rerun again, because now your name is out there. They know you're out there, and they will see some of the shenanigans that are going on. So that's why you got to follow through on all these shenanigans. You keep that network list, you go back to those people, and you build to it. And I can tell you right now, we've done it. We've won school districts, lost the same district, and are working now back to getting the school district back. So you will find that. And I've been in politics long enough to see that happen back and forth. Now, I'll tell you what, since 2020, politics has changed. And of course, I don't know if you will buy into this, ladies, or not, but we are in a color revolution. I believe there is a Marxist agenda in this country, and this is part of why they're trying to get rid of our Judeo-Christian values and destroy the American Constitution. And this is why the First Amendment doesn't matter to them, because I don't understand, if you have the First Amendment and yet someone can tell you what you can and are supposed to say, that doesn't make sense. That's contradictory, isn't it?
In the Senate Judiciary Committee, the supporters of this bill actually said, well, you can just be silent. Like, that was their response to that this is a violation to our First Amendment rights, and said, oh, no, it's not a violation. You can just choose to be silent. And we anticipate, success there. And, I do want to let your viewers know, like, I have so much hope for our country. I have seen in the last 5 years such a shift in the culture. And, when you come back to, the morality of our society, our Constitution was written for a moral society. So when you don't have a moral society, the Constitution doesn't mix well with it. And so I think that's why we're seeing this resurgence and revival in, people coming into faith and looking at the Bible and reading it, and not necessarily religion per se, but what are these guiding principles, if you will? And our founding fathers, they believed that we needed to be an actively engaged, self-restrained citizenry, and they believed in the foundations of our liberty. Limited government, rule of law, all of these things come together. And I think when I think a majority of people in our country don't really understand the principles of our founding. You know, I have a lot of conversations with people that they've never read the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. And it's only a 30-minute read to read the Constitution. You can download it on Audible and listen to it in your car. You know, it's just so important that this idea of America, you know, that's why people come here. It's for this idea that you can be anything you want to be. You're free to do that. And right now, our government is just so enormous, and there's so much overreach into our lives that we must stand together. And I'm seeing it happen, and I'm very encouraged.
Good. This is good. This is all great stuff. Lori, you had placed a link in here. Did you want me to put that up? The Association of American Educators?
Yeah, I wanted to, you know, maybe some of your viewers are teachers or they know teachers, right? And one of the things that teachers are often misled into is that they must belong to the teachers union. So, and they're kind of forced into signing up and registering. And most teachers they lose about $900 a year in dues. And a lot of teachers do not align with what the union is doing. And so they're using taxpayer dollars, right? So we, the taxpayers, pay the teachers. And the union is essentially stealing that money through dues and using it to fund candidates that don't align necessarily with their belief system or my belief system as the taxpayer. They're literally using my money to fund candidates that I'm opposed to. And so we want teachers to know there is an alternative, and that is the Association of American Educators. In Colorado, their subset is called Professional Association of Colorado Educators. But people can go here and they can literally get $2 million in liability insurance in their own name. And it travels from state to state to state, and it's about $20 a month. So it's a huge savings, and they can keep the rest of their money to do something else with. Maybe they want to go on a vacation, use that money to go on vacation. So the American Association, or the Association of American Educators, is such an incredible organization, non-political. They don't do anything political. They're not engaged in lobbying or any of these things. They're just there to support teachers. So encourage everybody to tell their friends.
You got it. I'm trying to figure out how to get back to my original screen here. I hate when this happens. There we go. There we go. There we all three are. Don't worry. They could hear you while you were off camera. Your mic was still on. But yeah, this is the website here. And yeah, I encourage people, you can go in, and because like you said, there is no law that requires you to join the teachers union. And yeah, it's sad that they know that because they're using their money. Lori, I know you got to get out of here. Elizabeth, I thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to say before you leave, Lori?
I just want to thank you, Rob, for the opportunity to jump on with you. It'd be fun to talk a little bit more, you know, what's going on in Oregon, what's going on in Colorado, because when we all come together as states, because this is happening everywhere, even in red states, you know, we see it. We see the evidence. Where we were 5 years ago, Utah is today. It's coming in and it's there, and you are not safe, and you cannot have blind trust. So let's do more of these, talk about different topics, get people engaged in solution-driven protocols so that we can really work together to restore the parent's voice.
Great. Elizabeth, anything you'd like to say?
Well, I just want to reiterate what Lori was saying about educating people about their rights, the First Amendment, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. And I would love to see logic classes in high schools, because I think just knowing how to think and knowing when you see a fallacious argument, that's like a lot of the argument, a lot of the education right there. So yeah, knowing your rights and having logic.
I'd like to see them focus on objectivism and be more objective. I want to thank you, ladies. I'm going to stop the recording here. I'll see you on the other side here.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks.
All right. And that was my interview with Lori and Elizabeth. And about a week later, I've got some news about what happened with the signs that got stolen. And here are the signs that she was talking about: vote for Elizabeth Taylor for school board. And she put the air tag, inserted in the campaign sign. She shows you the little arrow there and how they inserted it. Now, after she did that, she put them up. She put with the signs were legally placed. They knew this because they checked. They checked with their city. They checked with their Department of Transportation there in Colorado. They made sure perfectly legal. There the signs are. And then all of a sudden, the air tags in the staff parking lot of the Basalt Elementary and Middle Schools in Basalt, Colorado. And there, right there is the maps, the signal that they got from their air tag. The air tags pinged in staff parking lot at Basalt Middle and Elementary Schools. So they found the signs. It was sitting in the parking lot of the school, like she said. And there's the air tags pinged to a vehicle in staff parking lot at Basalt Middle and Elementary Schools. They knew exactly where the signs were because they knew where the air tags were. And right there's a picture of where the air tag is and and that car happens to belong to one of the staff of the school. Yeah, one of the union staff of the school. Yeah, those union guys, they're so wonderful, aren't they? And right there is that's the house. I believe that's the house. Yeah, air tags pinged to a home of an individual connected to Roaring Fork Schools. What a name, Roaring Fork. Roaring Fork. And I wonder what their mascot is. But right there shows you the air tags pinging right from the home from an individual connected to the schools. And so this is the volunteer. They found one of the air tags. They dug it out of the trash, the tags out of the trash can at the Thunder River Market in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. And they know that the lady car that I just showed, that lady actually put the sign or that tag in the garbage. And there they are digging that out. Right here it is attempt to cover up. Air tag traced to Thunder River Market, discarded in a trash can, recovered minutes later. So they know what's going on here. And of course, the second air tag was located and recovered near the residence on November 1st with an assistance of an Eagle County sheriff's officer. So there they know where the second air tag was. And I got an email from Elizabeth, and she says, "Hi, Rob. Update. This is an update to the case. I spoke with Deputy Clayton," that was the guy in the picture, "just now, and he informed me that he just issued the summons to Megan's attorney." Megan is the lady whose car that we saw in the picture, and she was charged with 8 counts, 4 of theft, 2 air tags and 2 signs, 2 of evidence tampering, and 2 of election interference. The court date is set for December 19th, which isn't far from today. And the formal report will be done and ready to request probably by early next week. Now, this was a couple of weeks ago when Elizabeth sent this to me, and I haven't received that report yet, but I hope to receive that, and I will update you folks. It's in the DA's hands now, so we just have to wait until the 19th to hear what happens. Turns out, after reviewing the surveillance footage at Thunder River Market, it was actually Megan herself who disposed of the air tag into the trash can there. And she works for the Roaring Forks school. And yeah, it was justice. It was justice. Beautiful, beautiful justice. And I'll tell you what, I was talking with Marty about this on a Friday night rant, and we're going to call up Matt Robinson because he makes a lot of those political signs. And we're going to see if we can get him an offshoot service where he can offer those air tags. Yeah, he can put those air tags in. You just call him up, you order signs, and you say, "Matt, put about, I don't know, 1 air tag in every 10, every 20, maybe every 100, however big your campaign is." And so let me go through some of these comments because I haven't been able to go through any of these comments yet. And let's see. Brandy Martindale says, "Hi, Brandy. Good to see you. Truly foul behavior." Yes, foul behavior. And the reason I wanted to do this story is that I have probably over the years, I've been involved with campaigns, and we have had, I don't know, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of signs stolen from us. And we know
they're stolen because, like we heard in the story Elizabeth was talking about, we'd go back to where we put up the signs, and our opponent's signs would still be there, but our signs would be gone. It was very weird how that happened every time. So we, truly foul behavior. And I'll tell you, Brandy, when I go and I put out signs, and I've put out thousands and thousands of political signs. I've hung up a lot of signs. I've collected them at the end of that. And when I go put up those signs, I'll go to a spot on the corner. And if there's a whole bunch of political signs, I'll try to rearrange all of them so that everyone can see the political signs, because, I've got a problem with a compulsive behavior. So I've got to make sure those signs are able to be seen from the road. So I'm one of those who I just get ticked off that people mess with other people's signs, and especially stealing them. That's just, now there was one campaign, the Ron Paul campaign. Someone stole our sign and took off Ron Paul and put on RuPaul. So it was kind of funny. That one was kind of funny, but you got to go with those kinds of things. Chris is watching. And Chris, I want to let you know that I talked to Carol at the headquarters. We found out the door had been left open, but nothing seems to be harmed or nothing's missing. So all okay. Good. All's well. He says, did that school employee get fired for stealing your signs or have any consequences? They should have. And I read you what happened to Megan. And so there is some justice. Maybe we'll see on the 19th. We'll see. It's funny, December is going to be an interesting month for a lot of us. And Brandy Martindale, who is now Brandy Martindale for Coos County Commissioner. That's right. Brandy for Coos County Commissioner. You might want to check her out and see where she stands on those issues. The 26 covert abuse tactics reads like a leftist playbook. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And damn Dee. Let's see. Stocks Farm Family says, Stocks Family Farm, my dyslexia. And I got full on word dyslexia. Yeah, I'm just not transposing letters. I'm just transposing full on words. Yes. And I also have Tourette's. Damn it, shit. Oh, sorry. And so, there's a lot of problems. I got a lot of problems, but I agree with you. He says, I send my kid to Christian school to keep her away from LGBTQ. And that's a good thing. I wish more people had the advantage to do that. And the only way we could get that opportunity is if we passed a law in Oregon where the money follows the student. Let the student decide where the student and the parents want to send that student. Yes, absolutely. And Deb says, most definitely. I don't know what she's responding to, but that's interesting. Might religious prejudice be the reason they have quit allowing the pledge to the flag and country? Because it declares that we are one nation under God. And actually, most schools still say the Pledge of Allegiance, don't they? I don't know, Glenda. I know that here in Bandon, my kids, they always started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I believe the assembly started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know. I don't know if that's true for all schools. I'm sure there's a lot of woke schools who don't say the pledge, but there's a reason the pledge isn't compulsory. It's because they had a Supreme Court decision, and the Supreme Court said, no, we have a First Amendment right. You can't force people to take a pledge, which we shouldn't. And but if they want to open a class with the pledge, I have no problem with that. I don't know why they don't do it more often. Let's see. And Ashley says, how does the district accountability work? Well, I gave you the update on that. And Don and Carol, that's my mom, Don and Carol Taylor. Hi, Mom. Glad you're watching. They're living in Farmington, New Mexico. I wonder how the weather is there. If you're still watching, Mom, let me know. How's the weather there? Because we're getting a lot of rain. I don't know if you got the cold and the snow yet, but she lives up there in the high desert in New Mexico. But she says, very interesting information. Enjoyed listening to all of you speak. Keep up the good work. Well, thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. That's always nice. And Steve Nye says, justice. Yes, we got justice. No, justice would be, you should be allowed to go to her house and steal one of her objects. That would be true justice. They say, okay, all right, you've been found guilty of stealing from this person. Now this person gets to go to your house and pick some object of yours. And it's okay if you have kids. We'll make sure that they only go to this person's bedroom, or only pick an object that belongs specifically to this person, and you should be allowed to go in there and steal. I don't care if it's her dead grandmother's jewelry. I don't care. I think you should have to suffer the same feeling and consequences that you put upon somebody else. I don't know. I think there's a little bit of justice in that. I think we should do that. That's what I used to think about graffiti. When they would catch these damn graffiti artists, and I don't know why they call them artists. They can't spell, and it doesn't look like art that anyone really would pay for. But they call them graffiti artists. I call them vandals. And when these vandals would spray paint the side of the building and they'd get caught, I used to say, why doesn't the judge impose that the person that they victimize and vandalize their building or their property should be allowed to go to this person's house and graffiti their house and their bedroom? And I don't care if your mom lives there. They should be allowed to graffiti your house and write the most insulting, degrading things on your house and in your bedroom and all over your stuff. That's what we should do to graffiti artists. And so I think the same thing with thieves. If you steal from someone, you steal someone's signs, they should be allowed to go to your house and steal something from yours. I think if we had those type of reciprocal laws, maybe people would stop that. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as say, we should do that with rape, or murder. That's a little sick. But yeah, it's we definitely might want to look at different punishments that actually humiliate people. And when they've been humiliated and publicly shamed, maybe they'll think of not doing that again. I don't know. Chris, and thank you for watching. Chris, it says Megan got busted. Yeah, I think Megan's probably going to suffer some real consequences, because this was election interference. And if those charges go through, she could face some pretty good penalties. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Brandy says, it is so important these people receive appropriate criminal records. Many of these people have been abusing others for years and finally got caught. I agree. A criminal record ensures future potential victims can protect themselves. And there are people out there who are trying to stop the public's ability to get someone's criminal record. That is something they were trying to do in Oregon. And we need to make sure that employers, landlords, anyone who has to deal or provide service to anyone else should have the ability to look at someone's criminal records. I'm not sure if that's even allowed anymore for hiring or renting. I'm not even sure if that's allowed, which is crazy because I would do it anyway. I mean, I think, and I'm not even sure if you're allowed to look at people's social media when hiring them or renting out to them. I know I would do it anyway. I mean, how are they going to find out? Who's going to tell on me? Not me. So I don't know. I think that we need to keep records public of criminals. And if you go out and you F around, then you should be labeled with your crime. Absolutely. And I would go so as far as if it's a really bad crime and you go to prison, that crime should be tattooed across your forehead as you're being put into general population. Yeah. So if you're a pedophile, you're a chomo, you're a rapist, that should be tattooed right across your forehead. And then we put you into general population and let the jungle sort it out. That's where I would be with that. Ashley Hicks says, maybe we should be putting an air tag on our ballot envelope. Ooh, Ashley, you may have something there. Wow, that's an interesting. I wonder if we could do that. I wonder if you could put somehow, because you'd have to put it in the envelope, but once they separate the envelope from the ballot, you wouldn't know, but you would know where the ballot is. Ashley, you have something here. Yeah, I think you've got a good idea. We'll be maybe considering something like that. That's a good one. Steve Hammer says our school, that's Roseburg High School, starts with the pledge every Monday. And I don't mind that because I don't force the kids. If you want to stand there and be quiet, I personally don't say the pledge. I would prefer to sing the Star-Spangled Banner because the Star-Spangled Banner was written during the War of 1812 when Francis Scott Key was held prisoner on a British ship and he was watching the fort be attacked by the British and the bodies mounting up right under the flagpole. And in the morning, after the battle and the smoke had cleared, the flag still stood. And that's what the song is about victory at war. And the pledge was written by Francis Bellamy, who was a National Socialist who wanted to create government schools for the indoctrination of children. I think they got it. So, and all of you Christians who think, well, Rob, it has the word God in it. Well, that wasn't the original pledge. The original Pledge of Allegiance that was being forced on children, they were coerced into saying the Pledge of Allegiance, didn't have the word God. That wasn't done until the early 50s under the McCarthy era, because they wanted to make sure all those godless communists pledged to our Christian God. And that's why the word was put in there, because of the Red Scare during the 50s. So I don't know. I'm one of those who I think we should revisit the pledge. I think every morning we should wake up and we should teach our kids to properly sing the Star Spangled Banner. Screw the pledge. I want the Star Spangled Banner. That's just my humble opinion. 40s and sunny today. Wow, that sounds kind of nice. It's we're 40s and rainy today. So yeah, it's about the same. Steve Nye says, oh, and thank you for watching, Steve. Steve's been a heck of a trooper lately. We've got this huge event coming on for a Turning Point USC. And we've got a dinner planned on 28th. On the 29th, we're going to have an event at the Egyptian. And then on the 30th, Brandon Hart is coming down, and we're going to have a country concert for all you country fans. You want to do a little dancing, you want to kick up the boots? Well, we can do that on January 30th, and we will be selling tickets to all this stuff real soon. We want to encourage you to get involved, but one of the main players who's been pulling this together is our very own Steve Nye. And I want to give Steve Nye kudos. Thank you very much, bud, for doing all the work you're doing. He's incredible. He's gotten out there and he's gotten us the venues that we've needed. He's checked out on other venues. He's been very good at his networking skills. Very good. So I give you a 5-star there, Steve Nye, for working on the Turning Point event that we got going on. Don and Carol says 2 wrongs don't make a right. I'm not sure where you're getting that one from, but let's see. Where's Steve Hammerson says Google says stealing the sign is theft and destroying it is criminal mischief. Both class misdemeanors in Colorado. Yeah. I mean, and I think, I don't know if she will face disciplinary action from the school. We will find out that as well, because I think not only should the justice system come down on her, I think her employee, the school district, should come down on her. I don't know. Chris says, I like Ashley's idea about the AirTag in the ballot envelope. I totally like that, Chris. I think we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to play a little bit of games with the ballot envelopes. Absolutely. Great lesson. Rob, preach it. I try. Welcome to the Church of Rob. I try not to get too preachy, but I do. On Fridays, I rant. So I guess on Mondays, it's okay to get preachy. I get preachy on Mondays, and by Friday, I'm ranting. So I don't know. If you can tell the difference, let me know. Brandy says McCarthy is an excellent example of why no ideology should influence governance. Philosophy, yes. Ideology, no. We would have to have a long discussion on that. Philosophy, yes. Ideology, no. And I can see the thought behind that. And the philosophy of the American government to have the minimum amount of government, the maximum amount of freedom. Yeah, Brandy, I think we should focus on a philosophy that's preached by the U.S. Constitution and leave ideology out of that. I'd love to have that conversation with you. Maybe we'll have to do that sometime, because that just sounds interesting. Wow, someone just here we go. Sorry. Chris says, join us for coffee at the conservative event this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. with congressional candidate Monique Despain at Black Anchor Coffee House at 3077 Broadway Avenue, North Bend. Once again, that is Black Anchor Coffee House next Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And that's at 3077 Broadway Avenue, North Bend. I will definitely be there. I will definitely be there this Saturday. I missed this past Saturday, but our new headquarters it's good for about 10 to 15 people. But I think that this Spain event will probably bring in 30 to 50 people, which is a good thing. I haven't endorsed anyone in that race yet. There's another gentleman running. Gosh, I forget his name. Doesn't come to mind real quick, but I know the gentleman. And so I haven't endorsed anyone for governor or anyone else in the primary. I'll let you know when that time happens. But right now, I am very much interested in hearing from Monica Despain, and I do think that she is probably the stronger candidate in that I think it is a congressional race. Yeah, I think it's a congressional race. Steve Nye, the network guy. Yes, he is. Steve Nye, the network guy. That's right, Lenny. Lenny, good to see you, man. Glad you could join us. And Doug says, hi, Rob. Doug and I participated in a restorative justice case where the young man who vandalized our home had to appear in front of his parents, all our neighbors, the two of us as the victims, and hear how his crime affected us. He was able to speak and tell us about his life and why he had done the deed. Then he had to make amends to us and how we choose to implement that. He happened to be a high school football player, so we requested he coach kids at them. He happened to be a high school football player, so we requested he coach kids at them school for free until the end. Okay, all right. I'm not sure if I got that right, but that was nice. So my mom, I think that's what she meant by two wrongs don't make a right. When I said if someone graffitis your property, you should just go to their house and be able to graffiti their house and their bedroom. I don't look at that as two wrongs. I look at that as you screwed up and now we're going to serve justice on you and see how you feel when someone does this to you. And so I think that this is okay. This is a nice substitute that you had. What did he call this? A restorative justice. I hear that much more where now the criminals have to talk with the victims and everyone has to come to a kumbaya moment. In certain cases, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that because I'd want to wring somebody's neck. I'm that whole forgive and forget. That's a beautiful Christian sentiment. I'm not a Christian though. So I have a little bit of problems with forgive and forget. So you come to my house and you vandalize my house and then you want to tell me about your sorry ass life? No, I want to take you out in the middle of the street and beat your ass in front of the neighborhood and let everyone know what a punk you are. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit old school, but I think we need to get back to some of this Western style justice. I think that we're being too easy on criminals. I don't know. So you criminals might want to think about this because people like Doug and Brandy and my parents, they're a lot more sympathetic to you guys, would be a little bit more appeasing with the punishments for whatever injustice that you committed. Me, I'm one of those. I'm fire and brimstone. You know what I mean? I'm Old Testament type justice, an eye for an eye. I don't care if we leave the county blind. It doesn't matter to me at this point. I'm just tired of the crime. Brandy says we need to do it, and then says Brandy says I am coming on Saturday with non-alcoholic champagne and OJ for mimosas. Okay, all right. So she's bringing non-alcoholic champagne and OJ for mimosas. Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, I'll have to show up for that one. And Steve says that makes sense to me, Brandy. Lumping in all of one is not realistic or human. Yeah, And mom says we agree to disagree, and that's perfectly fine. Which all of you criminals out there, you should be thankful that if you had to choose between me and my parents sitting on the justice system, you would be very, very well informed to ask for my parents, because me, like I said, I'm fire and brimstone. I want to go medieval on people's asses when they commit crimes. But Steve Nye says, thanks, Rob. You know what baggage I carry, but hopefully no, I care about the future of this county. And hey, we all got baggage. Oh man, do we got baggage? Yeah, I got some baggage that you just can't get rid of. We all come with baggage. I used to give a lecture to my employees when they would come to work. I would tell them, we all got baggage. I just want you to leave your baggage outside the door when you come into work. You know those drama queens who show up for work or show up for the classroom. Yeah, it's okay to have baggage. It's okay to deal with baggage. Just leave that baggage outside the door if you go to work or you're going to school. The rest of the world, we got baggage too. So just leave that baggage out. But I agree with you, Steve. We all got baggage, and I think you're doing a kick-ass job. No matter how heavy that baggage is, no matter how heavy the load gets, you're doing an incredible job. And don't worry, it will get better. And if not, we'll all die. See there. I'm a very optimistic person. But I want to thank Lori and Elizabeth for being my guest. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And by the way, we're going to be right now, if you want to sign the Stop the Gas Tax petition, we've called in the petitions. We're having everyone bring them in. And at the headquarters, right there at Newmark Plaza, right there at 3290, what is it? Oh gosh, I can't think of the address real quick, but it's right there next to McDonald's, Suite F. You can find the Republican headquarters in the Newmark Plaza, right there in the corner on the very end, right across. If you were going to the drive-up window at McDonald's and you looked the other way, you would be able to see the Republican headquarters. We don't have our sign up yet. We don't have any sign up. We just moved. I mean, we were able to get a spot, and then we had to move from that spot. So it's going to take us a while to get up the sign and let everyone know where we're at. But we're there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. For right now, we're there from 2 in the afternoon till 6 o'clock. And not only can you sign the Stop the Gas Tax, you can sign the End Vote by Mail and the Vote Before Tolls petitions there as well. And I highly recommend it. If you guys can, please show up and sign those petitions. And if you can get a chance, please sign up to become a precinct committee person. I don't think I have my QR code, but you can just go to the Secretary of State's office. You can go to the county clerk's office and download a file and the SEL 105 and sign up to be a precinct committee person for the Republican Party, because we need good conservatives in there. And I think there's plenty of room for more good conservatives. So I want to thank all of you. Century 21 sign above. Yeah, we got the Century 21 sign above. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to order a banner, and we're going to drill it into that sign. We're going to order a banner the size of the sign that's up there, the Century 21, because it's a nice acrylic sign. I don't know if they're going to want it back, but we're going to drill into that since they left it there, and just put a banner up so it's not so expensive. It's just, one of those things. So look for the Century 21 sign right there at the Newmark Plaza, right across from McDonald's. You can see it very clearly, and come and sign those petitions. And of course, this show is sponsored, and I want to tell you about all of our great sponsors, 3H Tree Service. And I want to thank the Holman family for what they did today. Normally they do Where's 3H Tree Service. And of course, I didn't talk about it because the first part of this show was recorded earlier. But they did a game of Where's 3H Tree Service. And of course, they were already done by the time we got the show on anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. But they gave out these huge packages today to the winner. And I want to congratulate the winner. I hope you guys appreciate it. But they gave out a lot of money and a lot of prizes today at 3H Tree Service. 541-294-1800 if you need to get some of those problem trees taken out of your yard. You know, you've got some trees that has some branches that are hanging over your eaves of your houses. Maybe it's hanging over your neighbor's garage or your car. You know, you don't want those branches to fall down and take out your beautiful Ford or your Chevy. No, so you want to call 3H Tree Service, and you want to have them come in there and take out those trees with surgical precision. They can do that with surgical precision. They come and they take out those trees, and they take away that liability, and they leave you a beautiful view and a cleaned up yard. They clean up after themselves. They're very reasonable. These are great people, and they give back to the community. And I can guarantee you, if you ever, and because we're in that stormy season right now, when you see the storms come out and the trees are coming down on Highway 101 or on 42 or any of the highways, 3H Tree Service are some of the guys, and I appreciate all you people who do this, but 3H Tree Service are some of the guys who go out there and take those trees off the highway. They will remove those trees, and I don't think they charge anyone for it. They just do it for a good deed because they're good people. So I want to thank the Holmans at 3H Tree Service, and if you want to help out a family-owned business and you have some tree work needs to be done, 3H Tree Service is the place to go. And of course, Tom and Gigs. I'm going to be heading over to Shanna's and Tim's. That's the owners of Tom and Gigs. I'm going to head over there and talk to them and see what they've been up to. I know they've got a whole lot of RC cars in now for Christmas, which is really cool because if you got kids, especially boys, you know, this just isn't for boys, but those RC cars are cool for young ladies as well. But if you need your car serviced, and this time of year, you're going to be traveling and you want to find out if your car is travel worthy, give Tom and Gigs a call, see if they can get you in there to find out if your car is travel worthy. You can give them a call at 541-888-4660. And you can find them at 135 South Shoneman Street in Coos Bay. That's the Empire neighborhood. They're right behind the car wash. And if you know where the Empire neighborhood is, you know where the car wash is. They're right behind there. And this is what they look like. Tom and Gigs, get your lift kits, your performance accessories, all that good stuff right here. They've got RC toys. They've got RC cars, really cool stuff. I'm telling you, folks, if you got some kids at home, you know, just I would say between the ages of 8 and 18, yeah, this is some cool stuff. These aren't like the little RC cars we used to get for Christmas. No, these things are big. Look at this thing. It doesn't look so big right there, but you put it in this guy's hands and it looks so big. It's a big car. So yeah, if you've got some kids and you need to get some Christmas presents, head over to Tom and Gigs, and they got all kinds of accessories for these cars. So don't worry about that. They can take care of you. They've got planes. They've got hero copters. They are still selling Tannerite over there. And remember, to buy Tannerite, you must be 18 years or older to purchase Tannerite. You will be asked for your ID. Always, you'll be asked for your ID. Herbal Choices. Herbal Choices is my choice for all my herbal needs. If you want to find a good dispensary at a fair price that has good quality, very, very well informed bud tenders. That's what they call the people behind the bar at the Herbal Choices. They're bud tenders. Yeah. And actually, they're very well informed. And when you go into Herbal Choices, first thing you need to ask them, hey, are there any deals going on today? And the first thing they're going to ask you, hey, do you got an ID? Because you have to be 21 years or older to be in here. And then they'll answer your question about whether they have any sales going on. So you will find a lot of sales going on happening at Herbal Choices at any time. They're always having deals going on. I know on Wednesday is the Wild Wednesday for all their wild edibles. Very good stuff. But you can find out more at the herbalchoices.com website. And remember, you must be 21 years or older, and you cannot operate vehicles on this drug. You cannot drive while you're on this drug, and you got to keep it out of the reach of children. And like I said, you have to be 21 years or older to purchase Herbal Choice. Just to even go in the store, you have to be 21 years or older. They do have 5 stores, one in Charleston, one in Coos Bay, one in Bandon, one in Reedsport, and one in North Bend. So they've got it covered. All of Coos County and some of Douglas County. And of course, I want to promote abstinence. You've got problems in your life. You're gambling. You got a gambling debt. You've got a shopping debt. Maybe you're a hoarder. You ever watch that show, Hoarders, Well, I've got the cure for you. Abstinence. That's right. Just try a little abstinence. It doesn't hurt. Just takes a little bit. You know, you've got that fentanyl problem. I've got an idea. Try a little abstinence. That's right. Abstain from smoking off of that foil. You know, when you're getting that craving to pick up your meth pipe or to smoke off your foil, and your life is well, it's gone to hell. You know, nobody likes you anymore. You don't have any friends or family. You're broke. Well, try a little abstinence. This is what I'm selling, and it's free, man. Totally free. A little bit of abstinence goes a long freaking way. I mean, just try it. And this is good for everyday things, you know, and it doesn't, you know, if you don't like it, you don't have to try it. You don't have to keep doing it. Just because you abstain for a little while doesn't mean you have to always abstain. Maybe you get rid of that fentanyl habit and you say, wow, my life's going too good. I have money in my pocket. My friends like me now. Well, I think I want to go back to the fentanyl. That's okay. See, that's what abstinence is all about. You can abstain for a little while and then you can go back. But I choose to abstain from doing all those hard drugs. They're very bad for you. Alcohol is very bad for you. Very bad stuff, but that's okay. You know, we're all adults. And we have to make those decisions. But if you get over your head and you're finding yourself that you're having a little bit of problem, abstinence. It's good stuff. I recommend it for everyone. And of course, Oregon's Firearms Federation, Kevin Sterrett. I thought I was going to have Kevin on the show today, but then I remembered I had to do that interview about the signs being stolen. So we'll get Kevin on maybe next week or the week following. We've been talking about a lot of different things. He still has several court cases going on. We're going to find out what the Ninth Circuit has done, what the Supreme Court has done lately for our Second Amendment rights. And if you want to learn more, go to Oregon Firearms Federation. They're the only no compromise gun group in Oregon. And I can guarantee you that's the truth. No compromise. We're not compromising. This is why I like Oregon Firearms Federation. This is why I like Kevin Sterrett. And by the way, he's not giving any money to the Republican Party or the Republicans who voted badly, made bad choices in the legislature. He's only going to give to people who actually defend our Second Amendment rights. So, you know, if you want to donate money to someone who really watches where that money goes and who gets donated to, Oregon Firearms is the place to check out. You can go to OregonFirearms.org and sign up for the newsletter. Really good stuff. They're not my sponsors, but I like to promote them. Band and Gun Club at bandandgunclub.org. Or you can check out Taiga Sports Park if you want to sight in your telescope and do a little rifle shooting over at taigasportspark.org. And of course, Coos County Neighborhood Watch, one of my favorite groups on Facebook. Please join up today. If you're living in Coos County and you want to find out what's happening, what crimes are being committed, well, you can find out right here at Coos County Neighborhood Watch. And of course, Coos County Citizen Council. That's Chris Castleman's organization on Wednesday. Him and Brandy Martindale and Perry Holman, they will usually carry the conversation on at 6 o'clock for about an hour on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. And all you have to do is go to Facebook and they can take care of all those problems for you. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so that's what we're doing. That's what happened this week. And like I said, if you want to sign the petitions, we're still taking those signatures. We're still asking people to sign the stop the gas tax. It's still continuing. It will continue for a while, at least for another week. But we want to get people to start bringing in those petitions. It's that time again. I want to thank you all for joining me. Tune in Friday night. It's going to be an interesting Friday night rant. And if you didn't catch the Friday night rant from last Friday, you got to go back to Rumble or YouTube and check out the Friday night rant, because that was wild. That was off the hook this past Friday. So I guarantee you it's just going to be just as wild this coming up Friday. I don't know who's going to be the guest, but it doesn't matter. We're always entertaining. And until then, folks, you know what I always say? Carry on, Coos County. Carry on.